Good morning. Welcome to the Blue Shack. My name's Joe, and it is a very rainy morning here in Sutherland, Oregon. And it's going to be a little loud with the rain coming down on the shop roof. So I'll try to speak up. Today I'm going to be working on ring number T200024. This ring is custom made for Brad in upstate New York. Hey Brad. So I'm going to go through the whole process of how this ring is made, and it's starting off as just this bar or pipe of grade 2 titanium, and by the end of today it's going to be a beautiful ring. This ring is going to be size 11 and a quarter, which is 20.8 millimeter. So that's the first thing I'm going to do is bore this out to the right size. Right about 20. I better double check that, make sure. All right, should be getting close. 20.4. We're at 20.6. So I don't have much to go. So I'm just going to slowly nibble at this. And just a tad bit more. Okay, just one more thousandth of an inch. .81. I'll take it. The next thing I'm going to do is just clean up this face right there with just one pass. Just make sure it's nice and as smooth as I can get it with a cutting tool before I get to the sanding part. Cut anything. Yep, that's all that was needed. And next I'm putting the boring bar back on, and I'm going to give this inside edge there just a little bit of a bevel. first I'm just going to round up this outside edge, and I don't want it to be any more than about 2 millimeters thick. I can trim off a little more once I get it on the mandrel, but I'm gonna, it's probably a little over 2 millimeters right now. Yep, 2.2 millimeters. So I'm not going to take off very much. I'm just going to make sure it's round all the way around. Concentric is another term for it. Concentric to the lathe. Alright, that is still 2.1 millimeters, and I'll be truing it up again once I get it on the mandrel. The next thing I'm going to do is finish up the inside of this, and I'm going to be using 5 different grits of sandpaper and then polish as well. Got a board put down here to protect my ways or rails from sandpaper grit. So I've got 320, 400, 600, 1000, and 2000. And for this I'm going to be putting on a mask. Okay, that's nice and smooth. Now time to get it smooth and shiny. Okay, that's a nice, smooth, shiny surface. It'll be shinier yet when I'm done with it. I'm gonna, towards the end, I'll hit it with medium and fine inside as well. Polish it up a little more. Now it's time to cut this ring off and put it on a mandrel. It's called parting off. And for this, I slow the lathe down as low as it'll go, which is around, it's actually a little less than 30 RPM. Okay, the width of this parting tool is 2 millimeters. So I want my ring width to be about 7 millimeters. So what I do is I get the edge of my parting tool right to the edge of my stock. I zero this out, and then I move it over 7 millimeters. And it should come pretty close to right where I had it before, because I went in 9 millimeters roughly. Okay, here it goes. facsimile thereof. Now it's time to put it on the mandrel and finish shaping this thing. Get this Morse taper put in there. And a size 11 mandrel. I really meant to take my rings off before I got started. I don't like running a lathe with rings on, but I forgot. Time to speed the lathe back up again. Okay, I'm putting the boring bar back on, and what I'm going to do next is to get rid of this burr, and right after that, kind of at the same time, as soon as that burr falls off and I deburr it with a file, I'm going to bevel this inside edge to match the other inside edge. Oh, I guess I didn't hit it quite enough. It's almost off. Now this edge still has a little bit of a burr on it, so I'm going to take a file to that. All right, now I can bevel it. Okay, now that that's beveled, I can focus on this outside. The next thing I'm going to do is get it back to concentric with the lathe. So I'm going to finish the outside surface again. And I'm not really worried about finishing it at this point, because I'm going to be doing other stuff to the outside edge. And I also want to trim off just a little bit more because it's slightly bigger than 2 millimeters right now. I want to get it a little bit thinner and lighter. Okay, that looks a whole bunch prettier than it did before. I'm going to clean up the inside and outside and give it a measure. .95, so that's good. Is what Brad would like for this ring is I'm going to he likes a light blue anodized color, so what I'm going to do is carve notches in either edge of this, and then there'll be a raised center band which I'm going to take over to bench sander and cut some faces into it, make it kind of a random faceted look to it, and then I'm going to anodize the shank of the ring, or the rest of the ring, to that light blue color. I'm going to make the notches 1.5 millimeters wide and 0.2 millimeters deep probably. I may change my mind. Or that's 0.1. I've decided I'm only going to make them 1.2 millimeters wide. And before I flip it over and do the same on the other side, I'm going to use a file on it, kind of remove that burr a little bit there. Round over that edge just ever so slightly. I'll be doing more of that later. Alright, now it's time to flip the ring over and do the same on the other side. Any tiny particles of metal shavings can throw this off true, so try to make sure it's clean, absolutely clean before everything I do. Okay, time to use the file on this side and get the burrs off, round over that edge slightly. Okay, now the ring is its basic shape. The next thing I'm going to do is sand up the edges. If I hit the middle a little bit, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be grinding the center band anyway, so if I hit that, it's not going to matter. So I'm going to I'm going to use the 5 different grits of sandpaper and polish. As I'm making rings, I'm typically always playing around a little bit without messing up the effect of the current ring for future ring designs. So that's why I was sanding that center band a little bit. Okay, I'm going to hit this side with polish. Go to medium. Now we'll hit it with some fine. Alright, that's looking nice and shiny. Time to flip this ring over and do the same on the other side. Alright, time to hit this side with polish. Okay, I'm going to be polishing up the inside of the ring, or the shank of the ring, with fine again after I pull it off. Whew, it is really coming down out there. Titanium gets hot. There, now it's shiny. Okay, one nice shiny ring. Now I'm going to tear it up a bit. I'm going to take it over to the bench sander and do a little sanding on that outside band. For Brad, I'm going to put some facets on it, and then I'm going to anodize it. It is really coming down outside, but I'm not going to complain because poor Brad back on the East Coast, all the folks back there have been hammered by snow and very, very cold temperatures, so I am not complaining. Okay, I'll see you over at the bench sander. Well, I'm over at the bench sander, and I've got a new 400 grit sandpaper disc on there, and I've got the bed tilted to about 4 degrees so I can cut some little facets in here. I think I've got those faces cut in there all the way around. I've gone over it a couple times, couple different directions to see if I could find any bald spots, but it looks like it is done. Okay, time to move back over to the lathe and get the center part of this masked off so I can anodize. I'm back over at the lathe and I have the ring mounted back on the mandrel. I'm going to hit it with some alcohol to clean it off really thoroughly so I can get the tape to adhere to it really well. So basically, I'm going to be masking off anywhere that I don't want to be anodized, which is that raised faceted center band. And this has to be done perfectly, otherwise color will bleed underneath the tape. And this part's a bit tedious, but it's critical that I make sure it's very sealed all the way. So it takes a little bit of time. Now it's time to cut away the part that I don't want masked. Okay, that should be all the way around. Okay, now it's time to turn the ring over and take the some of the masking off the other side. Okay, masked and almost ready to go. Once I get back to the lab, I'm going to go over this again in different lighting to make sure that I didn't miss any flaws in my masking, and also to clean up the ring one more time with alcohol and anodize. So I'll meet you back at the lab. Okay, I'm in the lab for the final step of making this ring. And I'm just, like I said, double checking to make sure I got all this sealed okay and don't have any overhangs of tape or random spots of stuff. Because any fingerprints or grease or anything on it will interfere with the anodization process. Now you can anodize titanium two ways that I know of. One is with heat, and that one is kind of cool, interesting. It can cause some rainbow colors. The problem is like using a torch or something. It's hard to get the whole thing heated evenly and exactly, and depending on the temperature, it will change color depending on temperature. Electrically anodizing is the most consistent way, and it, depending on voltage, it is what determines what color it turns. And it's basically, it's an optical illusion. It's not really turning that color. It just forms an oxide layer, really thin, and depending on the thickness of the oxide layer, as you go up in electricity, the light refracts differently through that layer, and so your eyes see the different colors. So this one's going to be a light blue color. As soon as I get it cleaned up here, we'll get started. Safety first, since I'm working around electricity, put some nitrile gloves on, and that way I won't get a zap. And also, if the current flows through me and I touch the wire or whatever, it can also throw off the anodization process. So there's a lot of variables. The solution, by the way, is nothing fancy. I've worked with other anodizing processes and deposition processes where you sometimes have to use some pretty harsh chemicals like for electroplating or anodization, other things like that. This is basically just distilled water and a little bit of baking soda. So I'll set this to 25 volts. And I don't know if you can see it or not from that camera. All right, I'm getting ready to zap it. 3, 2, 1. There it goes. You can see it turning, going through the bronzy color, purple there. And I won't be able to tell the true color of it until I pull it from the water because of the refracting off the water. Kind of both, I guess. Oops, I lost it. So I'm going to turn this off and fish that ring back out of there. There we go. And it is a kind of a dark purpley blue. So now I'm going to start going up in voltage, but I'm going to go to 30 next. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. And I'm just going to keep dialing that voltage up until I get to where I want to be. It's definitely turning more blue now and lightening up a little bit. Less purple, more blue, lighter blue. And I'm bouncing it around in there kind of to knock all the bubbles off and also to make sure it's getting good contact. Turn that back off and see where we're at. So I'm kind of going for a color similar to that band of tape there, and it looks like I'm just about there. I'm going to jump up another volt, maybe 1 volt to start with. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. So next I need to peel off this mask and we'll see what it looks like. But I've got to get rid of these gloves first. Wow, that is striking. That came out beautifully. Yeah, I see one little tiny spot, it bled. I'm just going to go out and take care of those couple of facets there, and then I'm going to come back and photograph. All right, now it's looking finished. Got those couple of spots knocked off. All right, Brad, your ring is done, and you'll receive it before this video even gets posted. It takes me a while to get edit video footage. So there you go. There's your ring. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks for hanging out with me at the Blue Shack, and you all have a great day. Oh, and hit like and subscribe and leave a comment.